Utinni!
What is up, everybody? Justin here with Utinni Designs. As you can see, my background's a little bit different. I am in the garage today, or this evening, I guess. And basically, we're going to play with a new machine. Let me make sure my mic is on here. It is. Let me turn the volume up, however. Hopefully you guys can hear me a little bit better now. So we are in the garage, and we're going to be playing with the new toy in the Utinni Designs arsenal. And I can show you it right now. That is an xTool P2S. So that's what we're going to be playing with tonight. I was able to get it last week or so, and I haven't really played with it yet. So it'll be fun to play with. I haven't really played with it yet. Just checking my mic volume. So the first project that I want to do on this thing is let me share my screen here. I have this ornament file that essentially you're going to cut out of two different pieces of wood. You're going to cut out a walnut, and then you're going to cut out of whiteboard, or I guess it's white laminated MDF. But before I do that, since this is basically my first project on this thing, I just want to see how it cuts out of 3mm basswood. Haven't used the P2S, but just this one quick test just to make sure it worked. It did work. So now I'm moving on to more complex and bigger tests. So it's been a little intimidating, I'm not going to lie. But I was also intimidated with my F1 Ultra. So I think once you just get into it and start doing it, the intimidation goes away and the fun factor ramps up, because you're doing some really cool stuff on a new machine, and you have different capabilities on this machine. This machine is much larger. It will cut basically 24 inches by almost 8 feet long with an extension. So that's pretty cool. Let me switch my camera back here to me real quick. Let me remove. There we go. So basically, this has a drop down in here, and you can connect a conveyor to it, and the conveyor will come out this way, and you can feed 8 feet through. Now, obviously, I'm up against a wall right now, so I won't do that tonight. But hey, Pat's fan, good to see you, buddy. Hopefully you can hear me okay. But I have my setup on wheels, so I can roll this around anywhere in the garage and set it up with different things. And I'll show you kind of what I have here. Let me move this camera slightly. This is another table that I have. And if I can get it out of here. There we go. So what I have is these Costco tables that I got from Home Depot. And let me just make sure these are all off here. That's on. So I'm able to roll this around anywhere I want in the garage. I think this one's still on. And then I don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera because it's low. Let me adjust this camera here a little bit. There we go. And basically, the way I have the machine set up is it's currently on one of these tables, and then I have my computer and other stuff set up on these other tables. So the way this works is you unlock it, and then the table folds out like so. Okay, so you have your top, and then you have a shelf. And then when you're done using it, pull it back up, lock it, and move it to where you need it. So the tables are really nice. They hold up to 400 pounds. So it's more than enough to hold the P2S. And they're really nice and versatile. So yeah, it gets locked. So that's what we're dealing with. And now I need to move my camera up, it looks like. There we go. So cool. All right, who else we got in here? We got Gap. Hey, Gap. We are just getting started here. Just showing people my tables that I use for my laser setup here in the garage. It is pretty chilly in here. It's 58 degrees, 57 degrees. I have a little heater going and got the xTool P2S here. As you can see, it's a pretty big machine. So I'll be able to do wood cutting, glass, that sort of thing with it. Like I said, this is my first live with it and my first real use with it. So it will be interesting. So hopefully we can do some cool stuff with it. So the first project I have set up is an ornament. Now, originally this ornament is designed to cut out a walnut and then whiteboard MDF. I'm just going to do a quick test on basswood just to make sure it cuts out okay, that it scores okay, and engraves okay. So currently we're sitting at 16 degrees Celsius on the laser, which should be good. And we have our file set up. Now let me pull this up here. Let's see. So the red is going to be the cut lines. The cyan is going to be an engrave, and then the blue is going to be a score. So that's kind of the way I've set it up here. And let me just make sure I have all these others turned off. And I already have it measured, but I'm going to go ahead and auto aim measure it again. And I'm just going to put it right here in the center. And it is measured. So at 3.4 millimeters. I am processing on slats. So let's see here. Since this is not a live view of the inside of the laser, let me switch to a different camera here. So I'll remove that. And we'll go to this one. Hopefully you'll be able to see at least some of it. I don't have a tall enough view really to do an overhead. That's something I'm working on. But hopefully you'll be able to see some of it working here. So I'm just going to throw that up on the screen, and we will process this. So we're going to hit start, and let's see how this thing does. Probably pretty loud. So I do apologize for that. I'm not exactly sure how loud it is, but looks like it's doing the engraving first, and then it's going to move into the scoring and cutting. This isn't as fast as my xTool F1 Ultra as far as engraving and stuff like that. But the reason this machine, I got this machine, is twofold. One is for cutting, not only acrylic, but wood, and it does cut at a 90-degree angle. So that definitely helps. And it also processes much larger material than my xTool F1. So I can literally cut out blanks on this and then put them in my xTool F1 and engrave them without having to buy pre-made blanks for certain materials. So let me see if I can grab my camera and move it here. Got to get through all motion sickness. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. I'm going to start with scoring. And now it's going to cut. Hopefully y'all can see that. Now it's moving over to the letter. Again, this is just 3mm basswood, so it's going to cut through it pretty quick. All right, and we're done with that. So let me put this camera back up here. There you go. So luckily we didn't start a fire, so that's always a plus. I'm going to release these clamps here. And if all is well, it should just pop right out, just like so. So very, very clean cuts. As you can see, there's really not any scoring or flashback on these cuts. which is nice. That's what we want. Grab my pieces here. Okay. If I can get them out. Of course, I know I can open the tray. I know somebody's probably already screaming at me, open the tray. You know, there's only a couple small pieces in here, so. There we go. So, let me walk back to this other camera here. So again, sorry about the noise of the laser. It is rather noisy. But what we did is we just did a test on some basswood. So we got a backer plate. Nice clean cuts. Very little charring. And then we have the top part of the ornament with the letter J cut out. Then we have the J that we will push into it. Okay. And then this part I'm probably going to have to adjust a little bit. But it did score and cut and engrave. Now obviously I'd want a little bit darker engraving in there. So I'll probably have to up the power for that. But as you can see, super clean cuts on the basswood. And let's go back to this. So my settings to do this was the cuts were at 60% power, 10% speed, and 1 pass. The engrave, or I'm sorry, the score was a power of 15, speed of 150 and 1 pass. And then the engrave was a power of 15, speed 400, 1 pass, and 100 lines per centimeter. So if I look at this, basically on the score looks good. The engraving I'd probably want darker. So that's probably the difference I would make in that. And then the one test I definitely wanted to see if I needed to adjust any nerf was to be able to fit this J inside of this. So I'm going to try to do this on camera. So on the ornament, it should, with any luck, drop right in. And it does. So I don't think I need to adjust anything there, because on the actual ornament, this is all going on this backer. So to give you an idea, get my letter in there. Actually, we'll leave the letter off for now. So if you were to take this and glue it, for instance, you would have, I know it's not going to be lined up perfect, but you would have something like that. And then you would drop the letter in. So you'd cut the letter out of a different material, and you would cut this out of a different material. So that turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that first test with the xTool P2S. Now I probably could have, it cut out the J shape, and somebody would probably ask, well, why didn't you just use the J shape it cut out? And the reason is it leaves just a little bit more space in there versus the one that it manually cut out to fit inside. So as you can see, there's not as much I mean, just a little tiny bit, but not as much space in there. That's why. Could you get by with using the one it cuts out? Yes, probably. But I just did it the way the file called for it. Pat's fan says, so Death Star panels 18 by 27 by, yeah, I wish. I don't foresee myself doing those because I don't have any place to put them. But no, very successful test for the first test of this. Very happy with it thus far. So I'm going to next try a different item. So let me switch you back to my camera here, my software. And we're going to go to this other setting. Now this is going to be a little bit different. We are going to take the slats out. So let me switch my cameras again here. Switch back to this. And we will switch to the other camera. So as you can see, there's slats in here. And these slats just pull right out. Okay. They're just little metal slats. They have a kind of a blade side, kind of like a windshield wiper, but they're metal. So I need to pull these out because the next project I'm going to do, or the next test, I should say, not project, is I'm going to try to engrave a glass bottle. And in order to do that, you have to use the bed. You can't use the slats. So I don't know if you have to remove all the slats or not. You may just have to remove the ones that are in the area you're working on. But just in case, I'm going to remove all of them because I don't want that laser head hitting any of these. Can y'all still hear me all right when I'm clear over here? Let me know in the comments. Y'all still hear me all right when I'm clear over here? And it sounds like it is on YouTube. So, all right. So the next step is, since we're going to process on the bed, we're going to take this tray out. And we're going to move it down. And I think right about there's where we want it. Because what we're going to be doing is this glass bottle here. So this is a pretty thick whiskey bottle. And I want to do a test on glass because I have a client who wants some logos done in glass or engraved in glass. So I've never done glass before, and thankfully this machine can do it. So we're going to see how it works. So I'm going to lay this right here in the center. And I don't think I have to secure it with anything. I think it'll be all right. And now I'm going to auto measure it. So let's go to, let's refresh. And let's do aim to measure. So I think that's probably okay. And now we're going to switch cameras again here. bring up my screen so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So we have Wake Forest. All right, Gap, have a good night, buddy. And I'm going to reduce the size of this, and so we can see it, I'm going to make it red. And I'm also going to make the little Deacon mascot red so we can see it. And I want these to be roughly the same size. So we got 69.46 and 67. So let's go 65 and 65 millimeters, which I think I'm going to have to make that smaller. But for right now, I just want to get them close. And then I'll grab both of them and put them in here. So one thing this machine has that the xTool F1 Ultra doesn't have is what's called a close cam. So I'm going to do a close shot, and it's going to zoom in here and give me a much more detailed view of this so I can see it. And I'm going to lower that, or I'm going to squeeze these in just a bit more. And then we'll zoom back out a little bit. Now, again, I've never done glass before. I've never had a laser that could do glass. So this is going to be interesting to see how this works. So I have it set to engrave. I have the power set to 20, the speed set to 140, lines per centimeter is 180, and I have 2 passes. The first pass is going to get rid of the masking tape I have around here. Now, I've heard that you don't have to use masking tape. I've heard that you have to use masking tape. I've heard you have to use like dish liquid, like Dawn dish liquid, and rub on the glass before you do it. And I've also heard that you don't have to do anything. You just throw the bottle in there and you set it up and you engrave. So I don't know which is true and which is not. So we're going to find out. Let me make sure both of these are set up to do what I want it to do. And I think they are. So they are both set up with the settings. And I'm hoping that this works, but we're going to find out. So far, no errors or anything. So let's see what happens here. First test on glass, live on Utinni Designs with the xTool P2S. Hopefully we don't break a bottle. Let's see what happens. So this first pass is just removing the tape, I believe. I hope. And then the second pass should engrave the actual glass. So this is pretty thick bourbon whiskey bottle glass. So I really don't have a fear of it breaking, but that's always a possibility, I guess. I really, really hope that doesn't happen. So far, it looks pretty good. I hope to have an overhead cam at some point where I have an arm like right here. I don't know if you can see my hand, but right here, and then it will come over and sit basically on top of the glass. But I can swing it out away and give you a much better view of what's happening inside the laser. Now, because this laser has a protective shield built in, I don't have to wear special glasses. In fact, I'm not even sure with the safety functions this machine has. If I lift this up, I don't think it'll let me fire the laser. I'm sure there's a way you can turn that off, but safety. So, the chances of me ever needing to do something without the lid closed is probably pretty slim to nil. Where my xTool F1 Ultra will allow me to raise the shield anytime I want. So I do have a set of glasses for it that I put on if the shield is raised or has some space at the bottom. So it's a little bit different machine, much larger machine, as you can see just by the video how big this thing is. And it's buzzing right along. So I think once I get an overhead cam, it'll be a little bit better. So the idea with this is to have a frosted laser cut glass look in this model. And since I've never done glass before, I figured why not? And like I said, I have a client who actually wants to do a glass bottle like this. So why not have your second project basically ever on your brand new machine be glass for a client? Now, the machine is shaking a little bit just because the gantry is going back and forth. So I didn't consider that when doing this, but I don't think the bottle's moving. So I could probably figure out a way to secure that bottle with magnets or maybe some heavy steel weights to the bed to where it doesn't move. Okay, so now we're starting the second pass. So we've done the first pass. And I'm going to bring you in just a little bit closer. So bear with me while I move this camera. You can see the first pass definitely got rid of the tape. The second pass now should be engraving glass if it wasn't engraving already. So that's pretty cool. And again, I'm going at a pretty slow speed here. So pretty slow speed, pretty slow power. So let me double check my settings here. We were at 20% power, 140 millimeters per second, and 180 lines per centimeter. So that's pretty slow. And I was just wanting to see how it works. I have another setting that I have for glass, but it's at 100% power, and I'm afraid that's probably too much. So I want to see how this works. I mean, 100% power on a 55-watt laser, that's going to burn pretty hot, and I'm afraid with the glass it may break it. So not quite wanting to pick up glass out of the machine yet. So let me go get a paper towel while this is finishing up so I can wipe this off and hopefully not get glass shards in my hands. And that way I can show you what it looks like. We are almost done. I do appreciate you all coming on and watching. Definitely appreciate it. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. Let YouTube know that you like the content, even though it's live and not scripted and not perfect and all that. Also, be sure to let your friends know to subscribe. Once we reach 1,000 subscribers, we will be doing a really cool giveaway. And once we reach 200 subscribers, we'll be doing a cool giveaway as well. So the more people subscribe, the faster we get there, the faster the prizes come out. This side is nearly done. All right, that means it's done. So I'm not going to take into account the fact that the bottle may or may not have been moving during this process. So what I'm going to do is let me flip my camera here. And we're going to go to this camera and we're going to raise you up. And let's see if I can get you down here where my mic and stuff is, my bright red mouse. So what I'm going to do, hopefully y'all can see that. So I'm going to take the masking tape off. And again, I mainly put the masking tape on there to help focus, because I'm not exactly sure how this laser focuses on clear items. So, and then let me get a razor blade so I can weed out these little pieces. So we're just going to weed out these little pieces here. And again, I'm trying not to rub this glass because I don't want to get glass in my hand. I don't think that's a possibility, but why take the chance, right? So I'm just ever so slightly removing this. I'm sure there's a better way to do that. And maybe some of it will come off when I rub this. So I just have a little alcohol pad or whatnot. And I'm just going to rub this down just to see how it did here. Now, with any luck, this will be removing some of the little paint pieces that was left. Not paint, but painter's tape. in here. I'm going to take a paper towel and just wipe it off. Again, I'm not really wanting to rub my hand across engraved glass, but we'll test that out here in a second. So, oh wow, that's not actually, well, it's a little sharp right there. Okay. So, that's what it came out as. That's pretty nifty. So I don't know if you can see it, but I probably need to make the lines in the Wake Forest in between the letters a little bit. You can just sort of see it down here where it got into the black. Probably need to make those just a little bit further apart from each other. But that's actually not bad. That actually turned out pretty dang decent. Very happy with that. For it being the first time I've ever done glass. Let me know what you think in the comments. While I re-stick tape to my brand new table. All right, Pat's fan says, let's see what Pat's fan says. Looks good. Well, thank you, Pat. Or Ken, sorry. Appreciate that. Yeah, that was actually surprisingly a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. For my first time doing it on glass. And it turned out, I mean, really well. Let me get the camera back on me here and show you that. See if I can get my hand behind it so it'll focus a bit better. I mean, that is surprisingly bright on that glass. Very cool. Oh, I like it. I don't see any chipping or anything like that. Very cool. Very impressed. So, I guess that means we can move on to actual projects maybe. Now that these tests are kind of out of the way. Yeah, I mean, for the first time, having never done glass, Pat, I mean, that's pretty impressive. Let me get my mouse working here. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it. I really am. This machine is very cool, and it can do a lot of things that I probably will never use it for. But it can do things that I specifically got it for, which was one, cutting wood and materials. It'll cut plexiglass. It'll cut wood. It'll etch glass. So, I mean, those three things in of itself, since my other laser cannot really do that to the extent this one can, is perfect. Very, very happy with that outcome and those first two tests. I don't think there's much that I couldn't do with this machine, coupled with my xTool F1 Ultra. So definitely very cool. And I'm trying to look in the camera. I'm so used to looking down at the screen, so I do apologize if all you're seeing is the top of my head. Maybe this will help. So but yeah, I'm very happy with the results on this. Like I said, on this one wood piece, I would probably engrave that darker. Let's see if I can get it to focus here. Yeah, there you go. I'd probably up the power on that. But again, I was just wanting to do a test out of cheap basswood. I mean, this is 3 mil basswood, very cheap. Because I didn't want to ruin a walnut piece or anything like that. But I think with the depth of this engraving, I think the scoring's perfect. I might make the score lines just slightly wider. I'll have to see what it looks like on the MDF. As far as the engraving goes, I'm happy with that. That looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and try something else here while we got this going. Now that we've had a successful glass test, let's push our luck a little bit. And I'm just going to lay this back in the center. And we're going to close this. And we're going to refresh our image. We're going to delete the close-up view. Refresh background. It's taking a little bit longer since I'm, there we go. So I'm going to move this bottle up. I'm going to unclick these. See if you can, do I have my camera on me or do I have, okay, I have it on me. Sorry, guys. There you go. So I've unclicked these and I'm just going to hide them for now because I have another piece down here of tape and I want to try another glass engraving. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this glass up so it's a little bit more in the center. And we'll see how this works here. So let me refresh. Okay. We're going to zoom out. We're going to do an aimed measure right about here. And then we're going to just take some text and we're going to type in, I don't know, Merry Christmas. And then I'm going to select a kind of a scripty font. Like maybe that. We're going to make it an engrave. And let's weld all that together. And then we're just going to position this on here. Now on this one, I am going to use the other setting. And the other setting was, the first setting was 20 by 140, 2 passes and 180 lines per centimeter. So this one, I think I'm going to try at a higher power just to see what the difference is in the engraving. So let's go up to, see if we can find glass in here. So glass. Let's see, wine glass, let's say. Okay. Glass cup. No. frosted clear glass. Nope. Frosted black glass. Okay. Why is it not finding glass? High temperature glass, 4 millimeter. Well, I don't think this is high temperature. Let's not do that. Let's use the setting that was posted. Let me see if I can find it here. I had written down a setting in my notes on glass. So bear with me here while I find it. That is not it. Okay, so this guy says he did his at 100% power. Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do 90% power. And he said 35 millimeters per second and 180 lines. That seems awfully high to me, but his picture turned out amazing. So I'm going to give it a shot and see what happens here. So let's see. Let's make sure. Hey, Eben. What's up, buddy? We're just playing with my new toy here. And we did a couple successful tests. So now we're going to play in the danger zone a little bit and bump up the power and see what it does. So I'm hoping that I don't end up with broken glass in my brand new machine. So we're going to hit process, start, and here's to hoping we did this right. Ooh, that's right. All right, so let me show you what this thing's doing. Let me switch my cameras. And again, I'll get a better camera. This is just how I have it set up currently. So we definitely bumped up the power. We actually bumped up the power by 80%. And we also slowed the speed. We slowed the speed by quite a bit versus our first test. Our first test was 140 millimeters per second at 20% power. This one's at 90% power, 35 millimeters per second. And again, this is a 55 watt CO2 laser. So I'm curious as to the difference in the engraving. Let me switch this back to me here for a second. I don't think there's a way I can do a camera here and have me on the screen at the same time. That thing's definitely burning some glass, for sure. So we will see how this comes out. But as long as it doesn't explode and have glass all over my brand new machine, I'm happy. The this will give us a good indication of, is it better to do the lower speed and faster setting or the higher speed and slower setting as far as the quality of the engrave. Again, using masking tape, I think it'll be okay. I don't foresee any issues with that, but at least from what I'm seeing, and being able to do glass and acrylic, I think is really cool. So this opens up a little bit more possibilities for things. So, and then of course being able to do these ornaments, cutting those out and then doing layers. That's really cool. And this thing cuts super clean. Granted, that's only 3 millimeter, but this thing's capable of doing 20 millimeter of clear acrylic. That's pretty damn thick. So, considering your iPhone is roughly 6 to 7 millimeters thick, think of that times, 3 iPhones stacked on top of each other. That's pretty thick acrylic. So that'll be interesting to test out if I can get some hold of that stuff. Still going pretty good here. It's getting closer to being done. So tomorrow I will be going to a toy show and convention right up here in Concord, North Carolina, up near the racetrack, Charlotte Motor Speedway. So that'll be cool. Don't know if I'll pick anything up, but who knows. But tonight I definitely wanted to get the laser going. It's a new machine. Wanted to test out some things with it and just kind of get my feet wet with it. But like I said, I was a little intimidated with it at first because it is such a big machine and it's roughly 40 more watts for the laser than my current machine. Plus, it'll do straight cut 90 engraves. So that's the big reason I got it, is to be able to do cuts and engraves on it, especially for glass. So, as you heard, this is now done. So, we will take this out. And we will wipe it. Again, I'm trying not to get glass shards in my hand. Now, see, this might have been too much power. So let me rip this off here. Because this did not give, or at least yet, a nice white. Ooh, and that tape is warm. So that leads me to believe this is way too much power. Try to clean this up a bit. I'm just using alcohol wipes and a paper towel, nothing fancy. And that is ripping up the paper towel. So we definitely cut into that glass better. Yeah, I don't like that at all. That looks like dog shit. I don't know why somebody posted settings like that to try on glass. All right. So this was the engraving we did first. Nice, clean, not super deep, just kind of a frosted look. This is the new engraving that we did at 90%. Yeah, it engraved, but it's deep. You can definitely tell it started to melt the glass, and I don't like that at all. That looks like caca. Might look good on camera, but it looks like shit in person. I would not do that and give that to a customer. There's no way. Now this top one, I would totally do that. That turned out beautiful. And it frosted it just enough. Let me see if I can put my, if I can find my camera. There we go. It frosted it just enough. It's not like a super frost, but you can't see through it. So it's not like transparent anymore, if that makes sense. So like these are screen printed on these little continents. And then this is the laser engraving we did first. And then this is the second one. And it just looks like crap. It literally looks like it melted the glass. So yeah, if anything, I agree, Ken. I would bring the power down to maybe 60%, maybe 40 or 50. Now this is obviously going to depend on which glass you're engraving, but 40% to 50% is probably pretty good for what I'm looking for. But still, hey, it was worth a shot just to see what other people's settings, look like. And maybe it looks like crap because it melted some of the tape in there. I don't know. But I definitely like that first one a hell of a lot better. Because even with the tape, it turned out very nice. So the next question is do I absolutely have to put tape on there? Can I put tape on there, focus the laser, and then just let it eat? That would be the next test that I would probably do. There really isn't space on this bottle to do another great test. Maybe a small one at the top. If you all want to stick around for a second, I will try that next. So what we will do is we will tape up the bottle just enough to get it focused, like so. And then we'll throw this back in here. Now the question is how are you going to move that tape without moving the bottle? I guess that part doesn't really matter since I'm not. This is just a test. So let's go back to our, we're going to take out this Merry Christmas. The heck with that. We're not going to do that. So we're going to delete that. We're going to refresh. We're going to do, let's see here. What do I want to do here? Okay, so there's the full piece. And we want to auto aim measure right here. We're going to bring the deacon back. We're going to engrave him, and we're going to go up to 50%. And the speed we're going to lower to 100. And we're going to do one pass. And we're just going to bring him right up here. And we're going to zoom in. And we're going to do a close-up shot right here. There we go. And I'm going to make him just slightly smaller. And okay. So now I'm going to attempt to remove the tape without moving the ball. Too much. So now we're going to try to do this without any tape, masking, fluid, or anything, and see what happens. So that should all be good. Let's go to process, start. Switch cameras. Let's do it. So maybe you don't need masking tape. Let's see what Ken says here. I like the software for this machine. It looks user friendly. It is. It's very similar to Bamboo Studio. Very simple settings. Yes, you can get more complex with it if you want, but it's pretty simple as far as the settings go. If you can use Bamboo Studio, you can use XCS software. So this was 50% power, 100 millimeters per second. And it is done. And we're just going to wipe this off here. Now, see, surprisingly, let me bring up my camera here so you all can see it. There you go. So surprisingly, this did not turn out as good as the first one. It almost has like a little pitting to it. See if I can get it in the light. You can see where it looks like it's kind of cracking the glass, like a cracked glass effect. There, you can sort of see it there. Kind of the pitting and stuff right in here. Where the first one we did not have that. So maybe more power is not the answer. Now, again, that could be the effect of just not having tape on it. It could be the effect. I mean, it's a little bit brighter in gray. Well, no, it's about the same. If I put my hand behind it, it's about the same. So yeah, I mean, even at 50% power, I would say that's too much, to be honest. Yeah, I would say that's too much for this particular bottle. Now, this particular bottle is pretty thick. I say that first setting is perfect for this type of bottle. I'm pretty happy with that. So I think that's all I have for tonight. I'll do some more tests, and I'll do an ornament in the actual pieces of wood like we did at first, hopefully tomorrow or Monday. And that way I can show that to you, the result. But you got to see the test piece, so that's cool. Yeah, 35 or 30 on the power. Now I did lower the speed, so maybe if I put the speed up and ran it at a higher power, that would be different. Like if I ran it at 50% power, and let's see, the first one was 140 speed, and we just did it at 50 and 100. So maybe if I did it at 50% power, 250 speed, that would get a better result. But in all honesty, I'm happy with the first result, which again was 20% power, 140 speed, 2 passes. You might even be able to get by with 1 pass, but because of the tape, I did 2 passes. So yeah, I think on the customer bottle, I'll probably tape it up and figure out a way to get that bottle in there. Let's see, let me pull up there we go. So I think what I'll do is I'll figure out a way to get that bottle kind of sandwiched in there to where it doesn't move. And then I'll just put a piece of tape on it so it can focus. And then what we'll do is we'll take that piece of tape off, hopefully without moving the bottle. And we'll just engrave. And with those first settings, that 20%, 180 millimeters per second, and see how it goes. I think as long as you stay within the realm of the same type of glass, like I said, that's pretty thick whiskey bottle. Now, obviously, if you were doing a champagne glass or something like that, gosh, I mean, you'd probably either keep the same settings or use less power, because you're dealing with a lot thinner glass. But I'm very happy with that first result. And the second result, like I said, looks like crap. The Merry Christmas at the bottom, it looks like it melted it, but that was also at 90% power. So it was just too much. Now the last result we got, again, there's what looks like pitting in it. It looks like, I guess the best way I could explain it is it looks like cracked glass. I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but it looks cracked, like lots of little micro cracks. Where the other one doesn't look like that. So I would totally keep it the same, at least on a bottle of similar thickness, as we did the first time. So that's what I would do personally. The wood settings, I mean, those just came out great. I'm very happy with that. I don't know if you can see that in camera without my face in here, but look at how clean that edge is. Not a lot of charring. It's not super dark. So that turned out really nice. So yeah, very, very happy with the machine. Like I said, this will allow me to do some bigger projects. And with the tables and everything that I've set up in here, I know it's not a perfect, setup like my other setup upstairs, which obviously isn't perfect either. But at least you have something in the background to look at besides all my crap in the garage. But I think this will be a little bit more interesting, just because you can do different things like acrylic and glass and wood. So hopefully you got something out of it. You at least got to see the machine in action. This is the upgraded version from the one that Brett Morton has. He has the P2. This is the P2S. Same size, same power and everything. The main difference is that this one has a little bit more upgraded options. It has dual fans. It has dual air assist. So a couple more different things. But I think I'm just going to shut that off. It's been a successful test. Very happy with the way it turned out. So thank you all for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And like I said, once we get to 1,000 subscribers, which will still be a ways from now, we still got 900 to go. So everybody just hang on. But the faster we get there, the faster the cool prize comes. We will also have a prize for 200 subscribers when we reach that milestone, and possibly one for 500 subscribers. But when we reach 1,000 subscribers, somebody's going to get something cool. Haven't figured out what that is yet, but it's going to be something along the lines of what Ken got. So, or somewhere in that price range. So, if you have anybody that likes lasers, likes 3D printing, likes graphic design, video games, whatever, Star Wars, send them my way. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe. And I definitely appreciate the viewership and the friendships and everything. And hopefully you all got something out of this. So you all have a good night. And thank you very much for watching. And we'll see you on the flip side. Now I have to figure out how to end this on my small screen. Here we go. All right, y'all. Thank you all very much. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Utinni